Hello guys, welcome to another episode of the Whisky Diaries. My name is Martin Lang and we're here at Death and Taxes. Tonight we're going to be talking about the experimental series of the Glenfiddich, particularly the Winter Storm. Now, Glenfiddich in the last few years, obviously they're starting to try to keep up with the market and the demand for different experimentations, and obviously having the experience that they have by owning Balvenie, and Balvenie being the brand that they experiment the most with, they decided to start doing some quite interesting, quirky experiments. I believe there is a really good step forward for Glenfiddich to start to do this instead of just staying in the classic ways. Now, Winter Storm is part number 3 or a 4 series. We will be talking individual out of all of them. So the first one has been the IPA cask, which is basically where IPA beer gets put on. Then you got the double X one that basically is just 20 people that gave advice to the master distillers on how to create a whiskey. And then we got the last one that is number 4, that is Fire and Cane, that basically is a peated whiskey aged in rum casks. We'll talk about them all individually. Today we're just going to focus about the Winter Storm and why I particularly like this one in particular. Now, the Winter Storm gets aged in French oak that previously had Icewine. Icewine being a Canadian wine that it's basically frozen wine. They literally, what they do is they pick the grapes in January during moonlight until like -10, -20 degrees, and the grapes are frozen solid. And then because of that, the freezing just basically concentrates the sugar and creates it, and then they press it, and then they basically get a really, really sweet wine. And this wine gets actually aged in French oak, so limousine, and then basically people just drink it and all that stuff. So the master distiller went to Canada, had a really good experience there, and decided to experiment with that with basically Icewine. Now, Icewine, what it does to a cask, obviously, is give it a lot of sweetness, and there's very, very sweet notes coming out from that sort of cask. So when they try to age it, and when they were experimenting, they found out that the only age that will be able to absorb the right amount of flavor from so much sweetness is a 21-year-old. So this one comes at 43% ABV, and it's, I personally think it's one of my favorite whiskies from the Glenfiddich range. Because it's not only, you don't only get sweetness, you also get a lot of fruitiness and actually really complex flavors from a whiskey that gets aged. It's just really delicate to be able to age that sort of whiskey in a barrel that contains, I'm not sure if any of you had Icewine, but it's actually really, really sweet, almost viscous. So it's a really well balanced whiskey. So you get obviously the sweetness from it, but as well you get fruitiness, and also the age shows as well. So you get those tannins from the wood. I can smell light cheese as well. It's actually a delicious whiskey. We will be doing the 4s in one goes, and hopefully we'll see you for the next one. Slanjava.